Hello,
Hey.
and welcome to Context Needed. My name's Kyle. I'm joined by Trashy McTrashman, just returned from the annex for his cup of tea, Ryan. And as usual, we also have, awaiting his license to Shooty McShoot more, super rare gacha, Ollie. How you doing?
It will come.
Whoa!
Time will
And
come.
I'm getting called more middle class. What the fuck's going on here?
The thing is, I call Ollie middle class and he doesn't bat an eyelid, he just doesn't give a shit. I call you middle class and you get all defensive, that's why I do it.
I'm not middle class.
But you get annoyed by it and that's why it's funny to tease you about it.
Sounds like something. That sounds like something that someone middle class would say.
No, let's talk about this. We're starting off the podcast. I don't know. Did I mention this last podcast? Was this something I mentioned last podcast about my sister?
No.
I don't think
No.
it was. No.
No, I think you talked
You
about it
might have
afterwards.
mentioned
I've
it
spoken
in
to you
random
about
conversation.
You've
I've
spoken to me about it, yeah.
So last week, my sister, I don't know if it was something on like Facebook or in a Weatherspoons. It was like a quiz. It took you through so many things, and it determined what class you were.
Right.
Obviously, my sister went
Painfully
through
middle
this.
class.
My sister went through this. It was declared middle class. She wasn't very happy about that. She's like, "I'm not middle class." And then she gets onto the topic of coming home for Christmas. And Mum and Dad go, "Wow, you know, if we're still in lockdown, you may be able to come back, but you need to come back and self-isolate, and you'd have to get the train because we couldn't drive you up, you know, legally."
I'm not taking the
Goes-
train.
She's like, "I'm not using the train, mother. I'm not getting on a train for 8 hours." All free. Just imagine we're on a WhatsApp call. We're on a WhatsApp call. Or me, I pop my head in like this. My dad pops his head in and goes, "It's pretty middle class, wasn't it?"
To be fair,
It's
it's
like,
like
you get what you're fucking given, dickhead. Get on that train.
I fucking hate trains so much.
I hate trains. It's the worst
But
form of transport.
I will
Worst
use
form
them
of
if I need to.
transport in the UK.
Yeah, but that's because our train system's trash. I hate trains.
Because we
It
sold
could be good and I'd still hate it.
Yeah, I think even in this country I wouldn't like it. But like
do.
when I was in Japan and using the trains there, they're still trains at the end of the day. They're very fucking good and on time trains, so I didn't have any worries there. But it's still one of those things. I'm still on a train. It's cool because I'm not sitting at the platform like, where the fuck is this train? When am I going to get to where I need to go? It's still just a train. And
I like trains. I was an avid fan of Thomas the
trains.
Tank Engine
All
as a
right,
child.
all right, ASDFS.
No, I'm just a big Thomas the Tank Engine fan. Except for the latest series, I find the Americans have fucking destroyed it.
Like most
Wait, there's an
series.
American Thomas the Tank Engine.
Like most British TV cartoons, it's been bought out by either a European or an American animated thing, and they fucked
It's
it.
Tommy the rail car.
Tommy the rail car and his multicultural, multi-sex trains. They're fucking trains, man. Who cares?
I still love the there's like the meme or the picture. It's just like, "No," said the fat conductor. It's just the picture of the fat conductor. Like, no.
He's not the fat controller anymore. He's not allowed to be called the fat controller because it's a derogative word.
It's ridiculous.
But he is the fat
It was literally
But he is the fat
describing
controller.
he is a fat controller. No, it's horrible. You can't call him that.
Not
Little
allowed
Timmy,
to say that.
who's a beast because his mum feeds him fish fingers and chips every night.
No, fish fingers aren't too bad. It's all them turkey Twizzlers. That's why Jamie Oliver banned them.
She fries it all, though,
Oh,
you see. She
I
doesn't
missed
have an
them.
oven, so she just deep fries it all.
I never
I'm
understood.
upset that they stopped them.
No, they're coming back, but I never understood the fanfare about them because they taste like shit.
Oh, they were.
I missed them.
No, I
I
loved
never
them.
had them. They were before.
I loved them. They were so good.
They just tasted absolute fucking awful to me. It was the worst tasting thing ever.
a real meal.
2 thumbs up from Danny. I'm sorry, you've been outnumbered.
No.
Whoa! That's not fair.
All right,
let me
let
hit
him
up with a
consult
counter
Becky.
argument here. The real best meal is chicken/turkey dinosaurs.
Turkey dinosaurs.
Smiley faces.
loved them in school.
Smiley faces or waffles
Waffles
and beans.
and beans, yes.
beans.
I have those regularly still.
God tier meal. We used to
In
go
fact,
with
I
my
think
mate
we
to his
only had
nan's.
some-
and
I
she'd
think I
always
only-
do smiley faces. It was like,
See, one
I
thing
only had
we-
smiley faces last week, and they're just as good as they used to be.
One thing that I actually quite like doing as well at the minute, we do chicken dippers a lot, and every now and then we'll put like chicken dippers in cobs or things like that. But go get like fresh tiger bread and have chicken dippers and fresh tiger bread.
that sounds like a pretty middle class meal, right?
It's tiger bread's like 60p.
It's just the fact that you're using
Chicken
fancier
dippers.
bread. Now, actually, I think this is
it's
the
not like
subject.
it's not like a sourdough loaf I'm using. Jesus Christ.
How often have you ever used? If you use the co-op bakery, do you ever go there and
I don't go
buy the
co-op.
cakes and biscuits?
My
don't go
local
co-op?
co-op doesn't have a bakery.
Jalapeno bread with jalapenos in it, and like pepper. Honest to God, bit of ham, bit of mayo, slap it in there, fucking spot on. They do like a tomato bread as well, where it's got like tomatoes in it. And if
sounds
you're
pretty
having
good.
like, where you'd usually have like a bacon sandwich and you'd put red sauce on it. When you have
Yeah.
the tomato bread, you don't need red sauce on it. Like the tomatoes aren't just kind of like not really there. You can taste them. Like
That's really
the co-op
cool.
bakery is premium.
I feel like I'm missing out. Tesco bakery doesn't do anything good.
Bacon sandwiches and bacon cobs are meant to be with brown sauce. I think you'll have it wrong.
I don't use brown sauce.
See, I used to have them with brown
I
sauce.
don't like brown sauce.
I'm a convert. I'm on to ketchup now.
See, I used to always be. I used to always be red sauce, but the issue I have with red sauce now is with pretty much most meals, red sauce and tomato ketchup is just so bland to me now. Like, I'll always go for like a barbecue sauce or a brown sauce or like
Same here.
some other kind of variant that adds a bit more like tang or something to the meal. I just find red sauce is the sauce if you don't like other sauces.
The thing is, though, we've all got to agree that red sauce is the most versatile sauce.
Oh yeah, definitely. You can have it with pretty much everything.
Counter argument. It's not really a sauce, but it is a condiment, and I would say mayonnaise is also quite versatile.
See, I only like mayonnaise in certain
we
things.
Same,
don't
yeah.
use much.
I only like ketchup in certain things, though. I only have ketchup in bacon sandwiches and burgers. That's the only two times I will have ketchup.
The thing with mayonnaise for me is, how, like some people can just pour mayonnaise on chips and have that. I can't do
Can do that.
The only time I like mayonnaise is when it's a component of something else. When it's like there's
I would agree.
mayonnaise that's being used to hold my sandwich together, or
you do mayonnaise like
something
instead
like
of
that.
Yeah.
But I don't have it in the house because there's no point, because I wouldn't use it, and Becky fucking hates the stuff, so like we just don't.
What, mayo?
Yeah,
You don't
Becky's
have tuna mayo
the
sandwich. Well, you
pickiest
buy your
eater.
sandwiches, don't you? Yeah. You don't make your own sandwiches, do you?
Well, no, I do
Well,
at
you
home.
used to.
I do at home now because obviously working from home.
Now, obviously. But anyway, tuna mayo sandwiches though. What's your thought? Tuna mayo sandwich.
I've always been a love hate relationship with tuna.
I don't like fish as a whole, so
You
that doesn't know for me.
So like tuna.
You're a British man who doesn't like fish and chips. Take away your citizenship.
Bojo, calm down.
What I'm saying is, we fire him into the Middle East with a tomahawk missile.
No, like with tuna, I like tuna when I've had it with like in sushi and things like that, and I was okay with it. But when it's like tuna mayo type sandwich stuff, I don't like the mix of mayo and tuna personally. It's like I don't like tuna pasta bakes really. I can eat them and I can eat that stuff, but it just doesn't do it for me.
See, that actually, this is a whole nother topic we could get onto. We could get onto weird eating habits right now, because
I've got plenty of them.
Yeah.
My dad is one of those people. He'll eat lasagna, but he doesn't like pasta. Unlike any other pasta.
It doesn't
But he'll eat
taste like
lasagna.
pasta though.
It doesn't, no.
I would say,
Thing is, though,
and it's not
pasta-
even like it doesn't feel like pasta either.
No.
Like it's such a fine point of it. It's almost not there.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. What's so bizarre is it's like only a couple of extra components away from just like spag bol. Really, if you have minced beef.
Yeah,
with
but
it.
it's the ratios. I
It's
think it's,
reconfigured.
yeah, it's the ratios. Whereas like a spag bowl, I'd say, dependent on how you do it, whenever my mum used to make it, it would always be something like, say, 30 to 50% spaghetti, and then the rest of the components are the rest of that 50%. Whereas lasagna, I'd say it's more like 25, 25, 25, 25 all the way through. There's very, very little like pasta pieces compared to your meat and your sauce and your cheese kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because like Becky hates pasta and spaghetti, but she'll have a lasagna.
What's your thoughts on covering like your salad? When you have a salad, do you put a salad?
Before
Like, do you
what?
put Caesar salad like sauce on it or anything or not?
Before we go on to that, because I know
haven't
you
had
wanted to say something before we started, Ollie, about this, about foods.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, I was
It's
just
still
saying,
food related. Oh, I was gonna say it's still food related, but I was just gonna say, speaking of kind of shops and food, I was talking to an American friend the other day, and obviously he hadn't heard of Greg's, but I realised how it's kind of hard to describe what Greg's is to people who aren't from the UK, because it's like it's simultaneously a bakery, kind of almost takeaway kind of food, but also not.
pastry bakery.
But then it's
simple.
It's kind of like a patisserie bakery, but then it's also like fast food as well. But then it's also kind of not fast food. Like
the thing is, like, you wouldn't call it fast food because if you go to a patissiere or a bakery anywhere else in the world, they also do it the same way. It would just be stored. It's not. It can't be considered fast food because they don't. You don't make an order and then they go and cook it and give it you. It's you make an order and it's already there. So it's not really a fast food in my mind.
I'd say it's close to just being a bakery.
Yeah, I'd say it's like a pastry bakery.
We've got like Birds and stuff here in the East Midlands. So when you've got Birds, they do pretty much the same thing. They've got all the cakes.
I've never heard of that.
So sometimes as well.
Birds to me is kind of a bit. From what I've seen recently, they used to just be like a low tier Greg's when I was a kid, but
Right.
No, when I was a kid, I'm talking before you, mate. They were not very good in my mind.
But Birds is all step above Greg's without
the thing. I think that's the thing with Birds now. It's a bit more. They have a bit more art house stuff and like kind of specialist stuff, which kind of sets them apart.
They have yum yums, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, whereas Greg's, you go for a basic sausage roll. You can go to like Birds and get some like really quite nice like mini sourdough breads and things like that.
See, I'd argue that Morrison's sausage rolls are probably some of the best sausage rolls because they're those nice big flaky sausage rolls.
I haven't had them in a very long time. I used to get the chicken nuggets from Morrison's though. That was good.
I can top pretty much any sausage roll. And bear in mind, I don't even like sausage rolls. But when you have them fresh off the line from the food factory, they are. I don't even like sausage rolls, but when they're fresh off the line, holy shit.
Anything fresh off the line, yeah, that works.
Yeah.
My grandma
You get that,
makes.
if you go into the bakery at Co-op at the right time, obviously it's not like fresh. They're not properly baked. Like
They're I think a lot of those shops they'll do a thing where they'll part cook them, flash freeze them, and then they'll be cooked in store because that way then it's still technically fresh baked, but not 100%.
Some of my friends used to work at Co-op, and we talked to them, and they used to work in the bakery, and they just do that. They basically, I think there was a few things they may have done a little bit extra on them and made them, but it's like I think like Co-op's bakery. I think shops with bakeries now. I mean, it takes away from the fact that you used to have just bakeries like Birds and stuff a lot more prominent, and there was more competition in this solely bakery area, and like obviously the way the world's gone with supermarkets and stuff, you kind of lost that, so you don't get the uniqueness. I mean, you don't see many like there's donuts and that's about it, and there's a couple others like
I wouldn't say donuts is a bakery though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're very specific.
It turns out my neighbor, like two of my neighbors, know the owner of Donuts.
They're not.
And I think it was when we was doing a podcast once a while back, we ordered burgers and he delivered the wrong one for me, and we was waiting during the podcast for mine to turn up, and he's called Hobbs Burgers. He also is friends with the guy who runs Donuts, and like they've started to open up, like I think they've opened up another store or something. They've done that well because it was like where you'll have to come over to us, Ollie, because there's a few places like you've shown us, like was it that pizza place that you was talking about?
It doesn't exist anymore.
Does it not exist anymore? What? Oh, I remember. Was it someone passed away? I can't remember what you said. Dough and Oil, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry, Dough and Oil's still there. Yeah. Oh no, I was thinking we used to have this one. It was just called the Amazing Wood-Fired Pizza. And they were these really nice pizzas, but they priced themselves out of business. That was a while ago. You probably would have had one when you came down here, but it would have been a long time ago.
No, I've only ever had like Domino's or something when I've gone round yours. But we'll have to.
Fair enough. Then. But yeah,
we need to get you up to Aaron, because we can show you things like donuts, because donuts is definitely something that you need to have. It's like a whole fucking meal in a donut. That's how fucking big these donuts are. But they're well worth the cost, even though like some people would say they're pricey. I think for the amount of like craftsmanship they put into these and like effort they put into these donuts, they're well worth it.
Yeah, I would say there's a place local to us called Planet Donut, which you'll have to try, and they're exactly the same, like proper like gourmet donuts. And I've described them to some people, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds too fancy for a donut," but just like a salted caramel Biscoff donut is just
that does sound good.
I think that's the thing though nowadays. People are like, it's too much, it's too fancy. It's like, yeah, but this is like
some stuff. I would
good
agree.
Food. It's like I think that's what
so
people
good.
like. Yeah, there's a kind of hipster side to it, and I think that's why people kind of try and like, oh, it's a bit too fancy for me. It's too, out there. It's like it's just a fucking good donut, mate. It's like
they do a lot of a lot of like popular food donuts. So they did like a churro donut. By the way, churros are amazing.
No, wait, sorry. A churro donut is basically just a donut with a smaller, harder donut batter on top of it.
Oh no, I don't mean I mean the same kind of seasoning and flavors as churros. I'm not saying a donut where they put churros on.
Because that just sounds
it's a donut with
ridiculous.
It's just donuts within donuts within donuts.
It's like a toast sandwich.
It's just toast with a slice of bread in the middle.
Yeah, but
somebody thank the chef. This is a beautiful toast sandwich.
Sublime, sir, sublime. They do a churro.
What are you having for dessert? A sugar sandwich.
Sugar sandwich. Also, the bread is made of sugar.
No, it's a thing. I'm sure it's a thing I remember hearing about. They do in America.
I would have a bowl of your finest sugar.
Some people get like so like run down like monetary wise, where they'll literally just have white bread and sugar.
I've had ketchup sandwiches as a kid.
I used to have ketchup sandwiches. See, I used to have ketchup sandwiches with luncheon meat, and now I can't stomach the stuff.
Oh, like the little Lunchables?
No, luncheon meat. Have you never had...
like Spam.
Yeah, it's kind of like Spam, but it's not like the tinned Spam. It's like, it came in like, think like packets of ham.
I know what you mean. It came, it's basically like... It sounds like a ridiculous thing to say, but it's like slightly less processed Spam.
Pretty much.
They've not shoved it in a can, basically.
Yeah.
Pretty much. But they've not shoved it in a can.
It's not as like fatty and greasy as well.
Yeah, it's not as oily, but
it's not been made to be preserved for like forever.
Yeah, so it's like I used to have that with ketchup for like my my school lunches. I cannot stomach the stuff anymore.
I can't imagine that being tremendous.
I can remember once as a child, it was like a visitor day when like your parents came in with like children to see the school. So obviously my mum would come in with my sister at primary school, and I'm there, we rock up, and they were like, oh, we've got mashed potatoes, gravy, we've got pasta, and then there's like some nasty pasta sauce. And I'm like, oh, the mashed potato will have lumps in it, so I'm saying no to that. So I took pasta. It was like the little shell pasta and some, I think, and then I had gravy on it. And goddamn, was that one of the best meals I've eaten as a child?
That sounds so wrong that it could be right. Because that's
what I mean. That's what it was. That's what it was. It was a sublime combination of Italian and British foods.
What was like? Did you guys mostly have sandwiches when you were in school, or did you guys have like the food at school?
I did.
Yeah.
So I had...
There's too many rules on school, like sandwiches. When I was in
really.
School. Yeah, like I was in like at peak Jamie Oliver. No yogurts, no chocolate biscuits, no crisps, no fucking nothing. You can
Is
have
that
bread.
the school lunches? Or is it the sandwiches you brought in?
That's the sandwiches you're allowed to bring in. You weren't allowed to like...
Wow.
Obviously secondary school at East Block. Yeah, no. Fucking Jamie Oliver was like...
I was way before the Jamie Oliver thing. And I used to have...
So that's why I never tried turkey Twizzlers. They were gone before I started school.
Well, they weren't in my school. I had the school dinners for I think maybe the first or second year of first 2 years of primary school, maybe the first year of primary school, because my mum was a dinner lady, so we used to get the school dinners for free. As soon as she stopped working there, I went straight on to like sandwiches that mum had made me, and then and I just remember the school dinners being cack, like.
They were mostly, to be fair.
I'm not going to try and defend them and say they were good compared to sandwiches.
My secondary school had some alright stuff, to be fair.
My secondary school was okay.
They had an actual kitchen at the secondary school, so they could actually make food.
Secondary school my secondary school was okay if you got there straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was often the case with ours. It would run out quickly of the good stuff.
It wasn't that it ran out, it's that it went stale very quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the time, it was really good food, but most of the time, you'd just end up having 2 milkshake cartons and 2 cakes is what I'd eat for lunch.
Yeah.
I survived as a child at school, but that's what I was eating.
I remember
muffin.
I remember my school tried to be all fucking fancy. My secondary school tried to be all fucking fancy with their school dinners. There was no cash involved. You wasn't allowed to use cash to buy any of your food.
You put cash into a machine.
Yeah, we had swipe cards that you had to top up.
Yeah, we had swipe cards.
Yeah, I know, but you're fucking 10 times younger than me.
Do you know what we moved to? Do you know what we moved to? We then moved to fingerprints.
We used fucking Apple Pay, mate. What you on about?
Your mum just pops up my Apple account, dickhead.
No, just trying to think. So, like, what? I'm 28 now. And
we were using swipe cards until like my last 2 years.
So we're talking, what, 17 years ago now? Well,
was this cutting edge
17, 18 years ago, and they moved us onto mag swipe cards.
But your school was brand new though, because you've told us this before. You were like the first year at this school.
Yeah, there was no one above me. It was fucking amazing. I just had to stand my ground and defend myself against people my age rather than people above my age for once, which was nice.
Yeah, but if you were like anything like you are now, you'd have been fucking huge anyway. You'd have been like fucking up there.
I was tall as fuck, but I was skinny as fuck. But because I was tall, everyone used to start fights with me.
Stand back, little shit.
It was so fucking annoying at times. Especially in fucking primary school, because there was all the kids above you, and it was just like, oh yeah, so you're a year 6 and you're gonna start a fight with a year 3, and you're gonna think that makes you hard. Wow, thanks.
That's just throughout the entirety of life. It's just how it is. Yeah, we moved to fingerprints in the last 2 years of my school, and there was one kid. He's like, my mum says I'm not allowed to have my fingerprint done because I've got photographic memory, and we don't want to be logged and catalogued.
What?
Fucking what, dickhead? Because I've got photographic memory. I'm like,
how does his photographic memory stop that?
How does that apply? Yeah, I don't really understand.
Don't get me wrong. He was one of the coolest lads. Like, he was like a really good, nice guy, like a good friend. But he was a bit odd. He was out there.
Most people with things like photographic memory have some oddity to them.
Yeah,
it's like genius and madness are two sides of the same coin.
Autism.
His brother had got I didn't want to say it because I liked the guy. I thought he was a good guy. I don't want to be like.
I'll say it.
I didn't want to just say it. His brother had
I'll
his
say
brother
it.
had something serious where he'd overcut, like he'd just absorb everything. Like his brother knew Elvish, like Lord of the Rings Elvish. He knew it and he could read it.
Fucking
Autism.
nerd.
No.
To reiterate,
Like,
autism.
yeah, like no. I'm being serious. I'm not taking the piss here. Like he was seriously like he'd got a disability where like you'd go into somewhere where it's noisy and stuff, and you'd have to sit there with headphones on. Otherwise, he'd freak the fuck out. Like it'd be too much for him because he'd just be taking in too much of
It's
it.
sensory
That very
overload.
much sounds like autism. That does actually sound like autism.
Yeah. Like
it genuinely does.
I don't
sound
think
like
it was
autism.
like exactly autism. It was something on the scale. I don't want to say what it is and go like it's definitely this or that because I don't.
We're not
That's
experts in it
often
at the end of the
the
day,
case
so.
Holy
With
shit,
pe-
man!
well,
Honest to God,
I've known a few people who've suffered with autism, and it's often they're much more sensitive to like sensory
Yeah.
overload and stuff like that.
fucking big respect though for fucking knowing the entirety of the Elvish alphabet, being able to read that shit. I sit there, I can't even pronounce fucking English words. I'm like,
That's surprising how you can't pronounce English words with that middle class education.
oh, prick. I'll have you find I say bath, not bath. I ain't southern. We all know that only real middle class people pronounce bath. And then he'd shoot it.
Oh,
I'm sorry to all my southern friends, but you're saying
That
it
was-
fucking wrong.
That was it was very painful at times working down south because obviously I'm from the Midlands, but Nottingham is literally smack bang on the border of what people would say is the north or the
It's
south.
just Derby and Naga.
oh
They don't
mate.
understand
So you
what
go-
the
all
Midlands is.
Midlanders, we all suffer with this.
So you go north and you're called a southerner.
You're a
You go
southerner.
south
You
and
go
you're called a
south, you're a
northerner.
northerner.
It's like fuck
So
off.
sick of it.
Make the Midlands great again.
It's called the Midlands, where you're neither.
So I had somebody try and tell me that Milton Keynes was part of the Midlands. Like we were talking to one of my friends. She's
off.
like, "Oh, I'm part of the Midlands." I'm like, "No, you're fucking not." I'm like, "Do you get East Midlands today or like the West Midlands today?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "You're not part of the fucking Midlands."
They're
Are
like
you?
an hour and a half south, easily.
So then there's a couple of other people try to argue with me and tell me that the fucking like below Birmingham was in the Midlands. I'm like,
No,
No.
fucking news to me.
Birmingham is the bottom of the Midlands.
The Midlands. Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah,
we need more awareness of the Midlands. We need more respect.
I think the Midlands needs more awareness for sure.
yeah,
'Cause,
yeah. Midlands
yeah,
awareness.
everyone in the
Day.
north just thinks there's the north and the south, and everyone in the south thinks there's south and the north. And
No,
anyone that
you've got
isn't
that
from
wrong.
the south is from the north.
Everyone from the north thinks north, south, and Scotland. Everyone from
Yeah.
the south thinks south
And then
South,
Wales.
north.
and peasants.
Yeah,
I'd just like to also like say Londoners are again
I hate
another
you.
specific bubble because they're just in their own fucking world. It's like
Oh,
we're
yeah,
all in
absolutely.
lockdown. I've seen videos and like one of my friends who lives in London, he's like, oh, that's funny. There was a lot less people walking around when we weren't in lockdown here. And now there's fucking loads of people in South Bank in London. It's like, London, get a fucking grip of yourselves. Just fucking lock down.
I
Fucking lock down.
I detest London. I
same. With a
absolutely
passion.
fucking hate going to London. I will only go to London for a specific reason. And then
Definitely.
so like I like going to Distant Worlds, the Final Fantasy orchestral concert they have.
Orchestral thing, yeah.
So me and my friend will go, and we will usually go like 5 hours before the show starts and have a mosey around like some of the shops we don't get up north. Like there's like Japan Center, there's a really big Forbidden Planet, and there's a few cool little comic shops and stuff.
The Forbidden Planet in London is definitely worth seeing.
So we'll go and spend a bit of time doing that stuff, and then go get some dinner somewhere where we can't get up north, and then we'll go to the show. So when I do go to London, I try to make a bit of a day out of it. But as soon as I'm out of London, it's like a breath of relief.
Can I just rectify your statement then? When you return to the Midlands, when like not stuff I can't get in the Midlands, not back up north, because we're just going to confuse people. We need
Oh,
to.
yeah.
If we're going to be, if we're going to be fighting for Midlands to be respected again,
I'm part of the problem.
You're Kyle. It's okay. It's okay. We have counselling for this.
I just realised I left my bottle of water downstairs. Fuck.
Dickhead.
Go and get it. We'll carry on.
No, I'm
We'll talk about how we're going
Yeah.
to bring awareness.
I'm very thirsty also. Could you ask her to bring me one as well?
Yeah, Ollie
Yeah.
needs one as well.
Can I get some more ice?
And Ryan wants a bit more ice, if that's okay. She just said fuck off.
Rude.
That's what happens when you're in the Midlands.
What I like to think about the Midlands is we're a little bit more kind of like realistic about things. That's how I view us. I think the North think they're like super fucking hard. I think the South think they're like super fucking rich and like they're the best thing as well.
Oh,
and
no,
just like,
trust me, when you get a Southerner that thinks he's fucking hard, it's hilarious.
I've got a story about that.
Thank you.
My friend who used to be friends, he was like a skater kid, and then he then kind of like fell into like a very like he started getting into grime and rap, and he's the whitest man ever.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he was hanging with the cool kids. So
Cool kids.
he's having it's not my jam. I can't understand a word he says when he talks to me nowadays because he's been living down in London. But he was with a bunch of his friends.
Road man?
No.
I was gonna say,
Well, yes, he's a Nottingham
speaking Arabic now.
Speak out.
to be fair, like some of those like some of the the only easiest way to say it is like roadman gangster kind of style of talking. It is a fucking another language entirely. Like I've no fucking clue. I think before you just continue your story, sorry, there was a fucking brilliant comedy sketch by a guy called Doc Brown. He was doing it on Russell Howard's Good News.
His rap.
And he does
His
a rap to
translation
explain
rap,
and translate the rap game language into English, and it's fucking hilarious.
Oh, she's painting.
Yeah, he does a rap about a cup of tea as well. Yeah, my cup of tea.
He's the one. Yeah, the cup of tea. So yeah, like, but this was before he'd moved to London. This story is so he's part of the Nottinghamshire roadman scene. Again, they're still talking a fucking different language. And they're having a party. They're all freestyle rapping or something in his back garden. I ain't got a fucking clue. His mum, his sister, and him. They're in a completely. They're on a whole nother fucking wavelength.
I could just fucking imagine a group of lads doing a fucking freestyle rap, and then the little weeblet Ryan sat in the corner like, "This is fun."
I wasn't here. I told this story. I've just been like, I wasn't there. I sort of. There's no way in hell I would go to a party like that. So he's there, and they're making a little bit of noise. This is like 21st birthday or 18th birthday, one or the other, you know. Let the lad have some fun. Youth at the end of the garden who's visiting his family or his parents or somebody. Or yeah, it's his like grandparents. Is
this like the house over the end of the garden?
The house back at the end of the garden. He's visiting his thing. He is from London. He then decides to pop his pretty little face above the fence. This is like in fucking Beeston area. So this is in Nottingham. Like full on Nottingham. You know you're in Nottingham. As soon as you hit like Beeston, like just after Towton, around Towton.
Beeston's not the worst of areas, but there are some pricks in Beeston.
You know you're in Nottingham once you hit like Towton, Beeston area. Like that's the kind of divide. After Long Eaton. He decides to pop his head up on his own and have a go. And he's like, "Do you know where I'm from?"
Oh my god.
Like, yeah, he's one of those. This guy was one of those people. He goes, "I'm from Nottingham. I'm from London." And they go, "Well, we don't give a fuck because we're all from Nottingham." We'll kick your head in.
The place we are currently situated.
I'm pretty sure Nottingham used to be like one of the second, like it was the second worst for knife crime at one point as well.
No,
wasn't
it was at one point number one for gun crime, from what I remember.
Yeah, it was worse than London.
It literally had the nickname of Shottingham for a reason. Like that wasn't a joke. I remember seeing pictures where people had actually put. You know how you get like the red signs for like warnings, like cow or warnings or something like that.
Yeah.
Someone had literally gone and made some that had an AK-47 in the road sign style and put them all on the entrances to Nottingham, like for a joke, because of how bad the gun crime was at one point.
Yeah, but this guy, it fucking baffles me. Like people, like just like the whole north, south, Midlands, like wherever you're from. This massive divide. It's like, can we not just like all get along because we're British? is that? Can we not do that?
I think the thing that I find really fucking stupid about poking your head over in that way is, one, you aren't from the area, so you don't know the area. Two, you don't live there, so you don't have to deal with the consequences after that. But the people who do live there have to deal with the consequences. And three, just poke your head over and ask nicely. I got
this guy, like this youth, like the parents and everybody they were having their own like birthday because it was like the granddad's birthday, so they were all doing their own thing anyway. He was just there because he wanted to have a go. I don't quite understand what his plan was. See, there was one of him and I think a group of like 20, 30 youths. Like this is a few years ago now. So it's like it's not during COVID. It's just like, the fuck do you think you are? It's like, like I say, we should all get along because we're British in the end. I think everyone needs to stop going, oh, but I'm from here, I'm from there. Like, just get over it. Whatever.
You get that everywhere, though. It doesn't matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, you can be proud of where you're from.
I don't even understand why people are proud of where they're from. Because
but also, we're not from the north. We're not the north. Can I clarify that? I
was actually speaking with Becky about like patriotism and nationalism last night, because I was watching I think they're called like MK Ice on Fire or something like that. I can't remember, but they do like they're American guys. One of them owns a gun store and was an armorer for the US Army, and his mate was like a Marine, and they just play games, but they have so many funny stories about like being in the army. And the guy who owns a gun store, they've put a load of mods into Fallout New Vegas to have loads of real world guns, and all of a sudden out of nowhere he fucking blacks out and talks about what really fucking annoys him about the 40 Smith & Wesson round or something, and it's hilarious. But they got on to talk about patriotism, and he got me on to talk about it with Becky, and I fucking hate how patriotic people can be at times, because they seem to think we are an amazing country, and we're not. We used to be a good country.
Yeah.
But we aren't anymore. We have shit exports. We don't invite everything. The only good things, from what I can remember, that we do for the world as a whole, we got some good eco-friendly things going about there, and we got some good scientific research for like medicines and things like that.
We're quite good in the engineering and science field as well.
Yeah, but like, think about Rolls-Royce, like just around the corner from us as well.
Yeah, but everyone seems to think we're still this fucking amazing, magnanimous country that can rule the fucking world. We're not. We really aren't. No. Like,
and that's why we need to make Great Britain great again.
I understand.
On the Tomahawks, we're going on an invasion streak again, boys.
It's like I'm all for like being like happy for your country and everything like that, but the thing that pisses me off is this blind nationalism and blind patriotism that people have. Like, when you hear the fucking belligerent arseholes down the pub, like, go back to where you came from, Britain's the best. It's like, fuck off, we're not. We import doctors because they're better.
Yeah, well, that's just smart. That's just smart. I mean, I think what you've got to think is like, it works both ways. I mean, we had Union Jack. No, we had St. George's Cross up. Like, we have flagpoles were fitted on like every house in the village.
Bit middle class, don't you think?
Shut the fuck up. It's nationalism and patriotism because we're patriots here. I believe Britain is the best country ever. It fucking isn't. No, that's a joke.
Britain isn't a country.
Well, it isn't a country. No, not. That's the problem with Britain. We don't know what we are.
Yeah.
The thing is though, is like we've got not Union Jacks. We've got the St George's
Union
Cross.
flag.
We got the St George's Cross up. And somebody driven through the town, and my mum's was friends with a clerk at the time of Draco. And she goes, "Yeah, I got a call the other day. Somebody asked us if we're a BNP stronghold." And I think that's the problem, is you've got one extreme where you have got the racists, and then you've got the other extreme where everyone thinks everyone's the racists. And nobody can just be...
You're not allowed to like your country.
Yeah, nobody can just sit there and go, I kind of like England, seeing as I've lived here most of my life, or I love Britain because, I've got the ability to go to Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland with great ease. And they're very beautiful scenic areas. We've had very good historic, events. Some bad. Quite a lot bad.
A lot of bad, but any
Especially
country,
Scotland and in Wales.
It doesn't matter what country. If your country has a history, there's bad in that history. That's the way it works.
There's nobody can tell me that one country is the greatest country. No country is the greatest country except for Japan.
I mean, the issue is when you're saying things like the greatest country. Obviously, there's a lot of factors that play into it. I mean, like, Sweden has some amazing kind of things for like the people who live there, and they have the happiest like people in their nation. But
Sweden's huge, and there's not many people.
Yeah, and it's also like, even though like most things get paid for them with their like university fees and all that kind of stuff, they pay a lot of tax. A lot of tax.
And it's always night time at winter.
I'd be fine with that.
I couldn't cope with that. I
I could be fine with that. I'd probably be okay with it for about 10 days, and then I'd get cabin fever in the outside.
Yeah, you'd be like, I need serotonin. Somebody get me like a UV light. Blasting it on yourself. Sunbed every week. I think that's the thing, is like everyone wants to say that their country is the greatest though, because you'll go to any country in the world and like what you said earlier, they'll say they're the greatest country in the world. It's like,
I was gonna say, no one's gonna say, "Oh, no," and nah.
But nobody.
We're all right, I guess.
I don't even think the French can could say this. Nobody believes France is the greatest country. Not even the French. Not even the French. Don't lie to yourselves.
I remember, and like, I went to Paris with Becky when we first got together. We spent
the city of love.
No, we went. Literally, the only reason I wanted to go originally is because two of my favorite bands at the time were playing in France, and it was like the only gig I would ever get to see these guys. So it was like, well, why don't we just make a long weekend out of it? And we went over for 4 days. And the issue with Paris, they say it's a city of love. It's the city of trash. It's so unclean, like so ridiculously unclean. It took 20 seconds of trying to go into the metro before being accosted by potential pickpockets. When you go to things like the Eiffel Tower or the Louvre or like all these like places to see cool stuff, it is cool, and the attractions are actually really quite cheap. To like go into the Louvre is dirt cheap. Go up the Eiffel Tower, dirt cheap. But your food, oh my fucking god, are you spending a lot of money on your food?
It's just snails and frog.
I had one of the smallest steaks. I had one of the smallest steaks
There's a man
I've ever
on the
had.
corner of every street with a baguette, and that's the law.
I had one of the smallest steaks I've ever had, and like a handful of, and by handful I mean like Ollie's handful. 10% too small handful, basically.
Wow, rude. I don't have full heads.
And it was, so I had that, and it was something like 30
really big,
euros.
Like, as big as my head.
But it was like 30 euros for this tiny meal. It was so expensive, but it was like, I remember coming back and everyone was like, oh, so how was France? It was all right, apart from the French. Because they were all assholes. Absolutely all of them were assholes.
That's because we're Britain and France, and we just hate each other. We've hated each other for like fucking ever.
They've
always been trying to get kingdom, and then we've always been trying to get their kingdom.
Yeah,
literally how
I
it-
knew there'd be some stigma between, obviously, like, a British guy going over there and, like, the way they would deal with me, but my God, were they assholes. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think
Oh,
I don't think there was a
doubt.
single nice one the entire time. Even the people serving us were assholes to us.
you get that down in London. People just don't like the British. Simple as. I mean, if you've ever watched the Al Murray, the pub landlord sketch,
Beautiful
where
British
he's
name.
beautiful British name. He's talking about how we've actually taken over or defeated every country ever, and he's such a smart comedian. Like, it's all
He's got very good
bullshit.
history knowledge.
Yeah, he's very good. Like, I think he did history in wherever he went to think. But that's where he pulls it all from, and he's just there like, oh, so we actually controlled this country, and then they went to war with this. So really, we beat them there. Shit like that. And it's just so stupid, but it's fucking hilarious because it's just like he is that over patriotic character, like the character he created with the pub landlord is that. But it's like, I think that's the thing. The thing is, though, is like that, like I said earlier, people look at these two extremes and they go from one to the other. But we can't, like, nobody thinks, because you go down to London, and don't get me wrong, you go some places and it's in a bit scutty. And you go into Nottingham, and there's some places where it's a bit scutty. But majority of the UK is actually quite tidy. It's quite clean. You know, we put a fair amount of money into recycling.
Over the years, I would agree. Over the
Yeah.
years, I would agree. But when I was younger, when I was a teenager and stuff, the UK wasn't a very clean place.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying about now, though. This is my thing. I'm not talking about
Now.
the history. I'm not saying we've always been the cleanest country in the world, because we fucking haven't. We
Ollie,
engineered the.
1 second, right, Ollie?
What's it
Because I know where we are. We get this sometimes. And you're in the middle of fucking nowhere. How bad is the fly tipping where you are?
Oh, awful. Absolutely terrible.
And for anyone who isn't British, fly tipping is basically the act of filling up your car with all your rubbish, like beds,
shoes,
furniture, crap, and then just dumping it on the side of some country road out in the middle of
Well,
nowhere.
I think I live out in the country, so I see it loads because people just think, "Oh, no one lives out here."
Yeah, that pisses me off so much. Especially the thing is, like, this isn't even me trying to defend anyone doing this. It's wrong no matter fucking what. I don't know, like, the tip situation where you are, Ollie, but for us, I know of three tips within
3 tips.
Within, like, there's one that's easily 5 to 10 minute drive from me.
Yeah, they're not.
And-
like,
same here, yeah.
And people still just dump shit on the side.
The thing
and
is
it's so annoying.
nowadays, it used to be a lot worse, and you'd find that there was a lot. I can remember there, like you say, when we were younger, when I was younger as well, there was a lot more fly tipping. Because there was a cost. Like, obviously now it's free for everybody. The only times I see fly tipping now is where it's clearly been done by a workman in a van, because they get charged to dump their rubbish.
Yeah, you need a permit to dump at recycling centres in a work vehicle.
But
I see it.
You can't go anywhere without seeing fly tipping signs about them being monitored, and people are getting fined. I mean, there was that video of the guy with the farmer, and he found somebody dumped a bunch of shit on his garden, like in his fields. They put a fucking letter in there.
Yeah, I think I saw this one.
Recently, that happened with where I live. The landlord, someone dumped a load of shit literally like over the road, or just up the road. Sorry. So we had a look, and yeah, sure enough, he found. I can't remember if it was a letter with an address on it, with their name on it. So he just took it all and dumped it back on their front garden.
Yeah, there's a video of a guy in a tipper truck, and he's got all this fucking shit, and he's like, "Well, I found a letter, so here you go." Just into their front garden. I think, like, yeah, fly tipping's a problem, but it's something we're not combating. It is something we're combating.
It feels like that's the case here.
Less.
It feels like no one's doing anything about it here.
I think.
Yeah, like when
I think the
further out.
The issue with it as well is a lot of the time it is very difficult to catch because, like we said, they pull up, they open the door. All they have to do is open the door, unlash anything that's latched down, and then drive, and it will all fall out the back anyway. It's not even like you have to physically handle anything. I mean, like, around here, the tipping I see is, like you say, white van men. It's not, I wouldn't say it's contractors or workmen, because they will usually have their site that they can put things, or their contract where they can use any sites. It's
dodgy individual.
Yes, it's dodgy white van men who do like odd jobs here and there. It's the scrap men, that do it as well. But there's also travellers. We get a lot of travellers in the Midlands, and they do it as well.
I think this is the big problem. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with travellers.
I've never actually spoke to a traveller or a person of that nature. I've never spoke to any of them, so I can't say anything about them. But I just know they dump a lot of stuff.
The community is seen for their fly tipping, and it's something that they don't address as a community. It's like we address people being racist who are British and are like, you know, they're like similar to us. They work a job, they come home, you know, they do the thing. It's like we don't agree with them, and we call them out on that shit. It's something that they need to do within like their community, but I don't want to get into that because it's a very volatile situation.
Whole can of worms.
Yeah, that is. It's one of those things. Like, if I actually wish I've ever had the chance to like speak
I'd love
to them.
to talk to everybody, like
Because
anybody and everybody.
The thing is, like,
because
the reason why I want to is because all I've ever known growing up is bad stories about them.
Yeah.
It's
never hear anything.
I've only ever heard the worst stuff about them. That isn't me saying that's the truth or whatnot, but it would be interesting to speak to a traveller to understand, why do you travel like you do? What is it that you prefer of this lifestyle? Why? Like, I would be interested to at least get an understanding from their side, rather than, because my viewpoint of it is very skewed from the information I've been given all the way through my life. Literally 28, 29 years of my life, I've just heard bad things about them, and I've never heard anything from the other side, if you know what I mean. Whereas, like, other things where it's like friends who don't like, you've got a group of friends that don't like another group of friends, you can hear both sides from that, and you can at least get your own understanding. I don't have that understanding at this point in time because I've never spoke to them.
Yeah. Back to like fly tipping, like I was trying to get onto. I think people take for granted a lot of the stuff that the government actually does, and I'm not talking about the upper government, like, you know, Boris and his fucking goons.
Your constituencies.
I'm talking your local council. I mean, where I am, our local council, man, I know mine's different. I don't know. You're in no, you're in Broxtowe. I used to work for Broxtowe.
Yeah,
I'm on Airwash.
All right,
really
middle
good.
class.
I'm just saying, Airwash do things a lot better. I mean, from fucking Broxtowe, right? I worked.
Wait,
at Broxtowe,
what's your local council called, Ollie? Is it just Shrewsbury County Council?
I think it is. Yeah, it's either
Shropshire. It won't be Shropshire County Council because that's a larger place.
Council, Shrewsbury Council. Yeah, it's a Shropshire Council.
That must be a massive like area to look after for a council.
Well, the thing is, you say that, Kyle, but then there's like, obviously there's Nottinghamshire Council. You're part of Nottinghamshire where you are.
Yeah.
Then you've obviously then got Broxtowe, you've got Rushcliffe, you've got Newark, you know, you've got all these separate ones. It's similar in obviously in Derby. We've got Derby County, we've got Derby City, we've got Erewash, we've got there's a few other smaller ones. And then obviously within your councils, you've then got your village councils and like your local council, like your very local council. But the main one is like Erewash and Broxtowe, like you kind of town.
Sorry, I was just going to say there's Shropshire Council, but there's also Shrewsbury Town Council as well.
Okay. Shrewsbury Town, I'm presuming, is more the town centre.
Just for Shrewsbury as a town, yeah.
Yeah.
So with Erewash, as long as I've known, they've always done brown, black, and then when obviously recycling came in, they started doing the bags, and then they've gone and done the bins. So at Broxtowe, whilst I was working there, they had this whole scheme for I think it's for brown bins or blue bins. I can't remember. You have to order one.
Yeah, so with us, because obviously I'm Broxtowe, we've got the green bin, which is general waste.
Yeah, green.
No, sorry, black bin. Black bin, sorry, is general waste.
Black bin's pretty
It was
universal
green.
in the
It was
UK.
green bin where my mother lived. Sorry, but no, it's black bin for general waste, and then we've got, I think it's a grey bin with a green top is recycling, and then we have glass bags. We can have brown bins, which is for garden waste, but you have to pay for them, and we never use them anyway. So we don't have one.
I think it was brown bins. Now, in Airwash, it's just something is blanket put under your council tax, and you get a brown bin. So you may pay a little bit more council tax. I don't know the full thing. I don't know what council tax is getting paid. You know, I'm still
you don't
young.
pay it.
Still young, still sponging. But they had this whole scheme, and then whenever it happened, it was a fucking palaver. They'd hire in these temp staff every summer to do this brown bin scheme. Obviously, people would call up to order their brown bins, and they're like, "Oh, look at how much extra money we're getting." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're hiring all these extra people." I'm like, "Do you know what you could do? Instead of hiring all these temp staff over the summer, you could have a couple of members of staff to manage it all. But then, do you know what you could just do? You could just give everyone a fucking brown bin and pay it, make everyone pay it in their council tax, and then you're getting a lot more money, aren't you?" It's like,
yeah, but I don't want one. I don't want a brown bin.
The thing is,
wait, I want to know actually, because obviously,
the thing is, you don't want one. If you had one, would you use it?
No.
But if you had one, you'd have
No.
it, so you would use it.
No, I wouldn't.
No,
we don't have garden waste. I don't have garden waste. The only garden waste I have is when I mow the lawn. That is it.
There you go.
But I wouldn't want to spend however much extra it is for a fucking brown bin that wouldn't even get half full. It would not even get a quarter full.
It's
What's
therapeutic. I think you should start gardening.
No. My part of gardening is the lawnmower going over the plants. I fucking hate gardening. And I'm not fucking... I fucking hate it. It's so boring. I want to know, because obviously we are more... Even though we're like kind of outside of the city, we're still technically kind of like city-based councils. How many bins and weird bins do you have, Ollie? Because my dad lives in the middle of fucking nowhere, and he has something ridiculous like 4 or 5 separate bin collections.
We have the black general waste wheelie bin. We have a green plant waste wheelie bin, which, to be fair, you can fill to the brim with mowing the lawn once. Like, it's just because, you know, big garden and whatnot. Then we've got, I want to say, 2 little boxes, one for glass waste and one for plastic, I think. And then we've got a little, like, blue bag for cardboard.
I think that's pretty much like my dad's, because he's got 2 boxes rather than, like, bags or anything for glass.
Yeah.
Which is
we don't have any bags.
He always overflows the glass one.
Yeah, it's like, all joking aside, even if you're not drinking alcohol, it's just things like pasta, like bottles of pasta sauce and stuff like that, like
jam jars.
They fill up so quick. Yeah, jam jars, stuff like that. You fill it up so quick. But
now we're on that. I know we're close to the end. There's I don't know if it was a Morrison's or an Asda or maybe even somebody else have opened up a shop where it's no packaging and it's all like take your own jars and stuff.
I think it's Morrison's. It's not that it's not that it's no packaging.
It's like you take your own jars and you fill them up.
You can take your own jars for things like pastas and stuff like that, but stuff where like, because there are some foods where you legally have to sell it with packaging because of the food safety and food hygiene laws we have, but rather than using things like plastics or shrink wrap, they wrap it in like, you know, the brown recyclable paper. They wrap it in that instead,
like it used to back in the day.
Yeah, but yeah, there's certain foods. I think it's things like
It's gonna be like perishables of sorts.
I think it's meat and things like that where you aren't allowed to purchase them in an open air environment. When you go to a butcher, the butcher has to wrap it in something before giving it to you. He can't just hand it over and put it in a bag that you're holding. He has to physically wrap it, otherwise it's not legal to be sold due to the food hygiene laws we have. Which I'm sure I remember some stupid thing at one point where the Tories tried to stop that from being a law or something ridiculous. It was just like, but why?
That's not like them.
They're so weird with their laws they want to change. It's always ones that don't make any sense to anybody. We're just kind of like, fuck you.
Or like, there's no reason to change them, and all you're doing in removing them is just like spiting people, basically.
Actually, no. When has any of our governments, like, when have you heard of any of our governments actually going and changing a law that made any fucking sense? I've not heard of one in a while. Maybe that's just because
they don't tend to.
So long.
Actually, there has been some. It's a controversial one, but there has been some good ones with like knives and things like that. They have done some laws where.
Oh yes, they banned the zombie knives.
No,
not that. It was.
Knives.
It was.
It's probably to do with like the length of blades you're allowed to carry. Like you can't have any more than a 3-inch fixed blade.
You can't have more than a 3-inch fixed blade. So I remember before that, you were allowed. I think it was up to a 6-inch, and it was able to be a fixed blade as well. And obviously, that was pretty much just knife crime waiting to happen. The only time you're allowed over a 3-inch fixed blade is for workman's tools if you're on the way to work or away from
My
work.
Moore is a 4-inch knife, so I don't know.
Yeah, so you're allowed to have it.
Knife.
Yeah, you're allowed to have it, and if you are hunting or like dealing with like vermin, like rabbits and things like that, you're allowed to have it because it's considered a tool at that point.
Yeah,
you couldn't just have that in your you couldn't just have that in your bag and go to Tesco. That would be illegal.
When you're saying it's considered a tool, I think that's the problem, and that's the mentality. Is it shouldn't be considered a tool only in a certain environment. A knife is a tool. A knife has always been a tool. The problem is people look at it and they go, "It's a weapon. I need to use that to stab." That's how children and people are being raised now. Is to believe, "Oh, I have a knife. I must stab something with it."
Yeah, I've got a very, especially doing like combat sports and being very interested in things like self-defense and things like that, there's a massive annoyance with, yes, a knife is a tool, but you don't need an 8-inch Bowie knife to open up a box. So an 8-inch Bowie knife is not a tool. An 8-inch Bowie knife.
Open a box with a Bowie knife.
It is in the jungle.
It should be allowed.
If you are in the jungle, then the 8-inch Bowie knife is a tool. If you are in Texas and you are hunting stuff and you need a Bowie knife to gut something, it is then considered a tool. But that's the thing. Definition of things change based off of their usage. And that's especially
I guess you could say context is needed.
Oh boy.
Where are the sunglasses? You needed the sunglasses for that moment.
Edit them in. Somebody edit them all in.
It is a thing that I would love to talk about at one point, is things like what annoys me in this country is we aren't allowed any self-defense tools because the police see them all as self-defense weapons. But there's a big difference between a self-defense tool and a self-defense weapon.
I don't know, if I whip my dick out, I don't think it'd be considered a weapon. I think there's a lot of people who would run away though, so it would work as a self-defense tool.
But would you be considered a weapon or a tool?
But it's things like, especially after watching a lot of things like Hard to Hurt, you've got the baton that the police like to use, the extendable baton. That people seem to think
they don't even use extendable ones here. We use
like proper
old truncheons.
No,
like not extendable ones.
near enough all of the police I've seen in Nottingham use the extendable ones. There's all in London,
I've seen
they
the
use them.
telescoping ones.
There's very
They're
few.
lighter as well.
Yeah, they're so much lighter, but there's very few that still use the solid standard ones anymore. But the thing is,
They're not going to get as much damage on the criminal.
no. Right, I'm gonna fully explain the fucking baton now because it is fucking garbage as a weapon and as a self-defense tool, and that's why it pisses me off that it is still in use and still sought after for these kind of things. Well, no, this is the thing. With the self-defense baton or the extendable baton, you have one chance, and it's only good for 1 point, and that is to hit someone in the head at its optimum strike distance. As soon as they are out of that distance or inside of that distance, it is the most cumbersome and waste of space of all times, and it can be taken from you. It is trash, because as soon as someone comes into grappling distance and grabs hold of you, you now can't grapple for a good position to pin someone or defend from someone or arrest someone because you've got a fucking stick in your hand. They are utterly awful. If anyone is interested in understanding why they are so trash, just go and watch Hard to Hurt's video on the extendable baton, and he thoroughly explains every instance of why it's trash.
And to that I say, they should just get good and bonk harder.
But
Everyone should be given a maul. They should all be given a maul.
Kill their deck.
It's not a case of, oh, they're within strike distance. If you saw a police officer with a fucking maul, would you run at them? I wouldn't fucking run close to them at all.
Warhammer.
It depends. If I'm in striking range, then yes, I would want to run towards him, because it wouldn't hurt as much if I'm right in front of him than if I'm in striking distance.
I'd be running in the opposite direction. I don't want to get close to this guy, because if he's looking about this giant mallet, this fucking sledgehammer all day, I don't want to be near him, because he's going to have a pretty decent set of muscles on him as well.
They're not that heavy. Mauls aren't that heavy, from what I remember.
Sledgehammers have got a bit of weight on them too, and they will take their toll over the day. If you're holding one of those and walking around all day.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. Something with the weight of a sledgehammer would be tiring over a day.
I saw a fucking amazing thing, which again was Hard to Hurt, and it was fucking brilliant. They shouldn't have things like sledgehammers. Do you know what they should have? A buckler.
Just fucking frisbeeing at him like you in.
I agree, yeah.
A buckler. Just a buckler, because with the way they are designed now, they can stop all of your baseball bats and hammers and knives and everything like that. But also, imagine being punched in the fucking face with a buckler.
I don't even want to imagine that.
Backhanded.
Poking you with the edge of it. Oh, it
That
just makes me think of
that actually doesn't work that well.
It just makes me think of when you stub your toe.
Yeah.
I don't want to be dealing with that pain on a daily basis.
I think
Now that's a weapon. A coffee table.
yeah. No, Lego.
Quick, deploy the coffee table.
Well, it's like you've got ninjas out there throwing caltrops on the floor, and then I'll turn around an intellectual Lego.
What's it called? A cop. No, they should just arm every cop with a cup of tea and a spoon, which they take out and place the back of the spoon on your wrist. Got ya. Pull the kettle back up. Pull the thermos out. Get out. Put your hands up. I'll spoon you. Oh. Well, officer.
On that note, I think we should finish. It's
next week for our ideas on how to reform the Midlands and self-defense forms that should be given to the police, including the teaspoon.
No, self-defense forms that should be given to fucking everyone, because it annoys me how we're not allowed it.
I don't know. I don't think everyone should have it, because there's a lot of people who just try using it as like an offensive weapon.
There is one thing. There's one thing that I think everyone should be allowed, without a doubt. and that is
It's Ryan's. Ladies.
no. That's
Gentlemen.
just your wishful thinking, Ryan. Now I was talking to Becky about this, and it's so annoying. Everyone should be allowed to have a small single-use variant of either tear gas or CS gas. That if someone does, because the thing is, if you're doing good self-defense, someone shouldn't be able to get close enough to you to use something like a small canister of CS gas or like anything like that. But if you get into that situation, you should be able to have these small canisters that you can just crack and basically throw at their face so you can get away. Everyone should be allowed.
Pocket sand.
Pocket sand.
I think we should actually distribute weapons depending on people's personalities. Now, if you're a gentleman of culture, you should have a cane sword. Milady.
My lady.
On guard, Rapscallion, the sword is better than the gun.
While you were talking to girls, I was studying the blade.
Well, you were playing
That
Call
just
of Duty.
reminds me of. Have you ever seen those videos of that really, really big dude with his katanas and stuff slicing?
He's really
through
good with
water?
it.
He is really good with a blade. But
Hey, I
every
think
time that's said, where it's like, while you were picking up girls, I was studying the blade. It just reminds me of that guy.
There's legit. There was an article. Well, I'll keep this quick because we do keep trying to close. There was a guy. He was literally wearing a fedora, and he was in America somewhere, and he walked around with a samurai sword because it was legal carry. Like there's a tweet about it. Like in Texas, you can legally carry like a sword, and there's just this really funny tweet. I'm not going to repeat it because it says the N word in it, but it's just I've had to be. It's just perfect. But it's like this guy was walking around with the samurai sword, like proper milady. But he legit stopped crime with it. Like somebody tried to like mug somebody next to him, and he was like,
No, he just does that anime. It does that anime swordman thing where he just goes.
"It's not even that.
But
It's
like,
not even
the
that.
guy-
It's just.
It's the guy's hat just cuts in half.
It's not even like a. It's literally just a.
Yeah.
All right, I've already made my move."
God, you're making me think of Virgil from fucking Devil May Cry, and it's reminding me that Devil May Cry 5's getting a special edition.
Anyway,
Yes, we need to close up. So, for anyone who's been listening or watching, thank you very much for watching. Please share us to your friends and to all your
We're
family. We're
all stereotypical jokes we made were jokes. I do believe
if
in
we
the law
offended you in
that
any
every-
way, we didn't mean to.
If we offended you, deal with it.
The only offensive things we said were about the French. And I don't know if I want to say I didn't mean it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't want to lie.
You don't want to be known as those liars on the internet. Oh, wait, there's lots of them.
It's just like the law in America where every cop has to carry a burger and a donut. And there's always a man with a burger on the corner of every street. It's just the same as France with baguettes.
Yeah.
It's just like
That's their
always a man with the
self-defense tool. It's just a really stale baguette.
Everyone in the UK should be armed with stale Yorkshire puddings to use as knuckle dusters.
Okay.
We're fucking done. Thank
done.
you guys
Finish
for
it.
listening and watching.
Close it.
If you want to send us some shit posts or memes or little questions, it's at ContextNeeded1 on Twitter. And you've heard the spiel before. You need to email us an address. You can't send us stuff through the email. You just ask an address, and then we want a 4,000 word long essay that is hand scribed with a fountain pen in proper calligraphy with a one-page abstract.
It's a feather quill.
Oh, feather quill, sorry. Feather quill with a one-page abstract, and it has to be wax sealed with your family's insignia.
And if you don't have an insignia, you're clearly not British.
Well, we're gonna close out today. Thanks everyone for watching. As I said again, we'll be back again next week, same time as usual. I've been Kyle, joined with Ryan and Ollie as usual. Hey, we'll see you guys later.
Good evening. Bye.
Peace.
Have a good evening.